People ask me often, how do you learn to do what you do? And I tell them, I just figure it out as I go. I had somebody email me and ask, have you ever made a moss sign before? And I said, no. They were like, I want a 6 foot by 4 foot one. And I said, bet, let's figure it out together. And that's how we learn. This massive sign is 6 foot by 4 foot wide. She is an absolute beast. I did not get any videos of creating the backer. I went to Home Depot and had them cut the piece of plywood for me to the 6 to 4 foot, so I didn't have to do that here at home. And then I made the border just as I would any other border. I do have a tutorial on this if you are interested in learning how I do the dado borders. I wanted to create an asymmetrical pattern so it wasn't just one flat green backer. I knew I wanted these 2 flowing arches, so I just started drawing them out on the back until I got them the exact size and roughly the width that I wanted it to be. I really didn't have any thought process here other than knowing what the vision that I had in my head and just started doing it on the backer, which I feel like is usually how I do things. I'm not very good at the planning process. I just do it and figure it out as I go. Next, I'm creating that depth in the arches that I was talking about. I went to the dollar store and picked up some poster board that I'm cutting up and laying inside of those arches that I drew. That way my moss has something to sit on and I can hot glue it too. When you're putting the second glue stick in, you know how when you push it, like it doesn't clamp on and like want to hold on to it? They told me to put a little bit of glue or melt the edge here. Make it tacky before you stick it in, and now it's going to adhere to the other glue and be so much easier to push. Like genius. Genius. For the poster board, I'm using a combination of the E6000 and the hot glue. I knew the hot glue wouldn't give me the best strength over time, but it was going to set up a lot quicker than the E6000, so I'm using that combo. That way the hot glue can help the E6000 set, but the E6000 is going to give it that strength over time that we want. I wanted them to have some character, so you don't want them to be absolutely perfect. You just kind of have a rough shape idea, and as you go and make it, it's going to change and evolve over time. In addition to the initial arches, I'm also stacking more of the poster board to give it more of a elevated feel towards the middle. Some of them I just randomly placed where I wanted them to be higher. This is just part of the creative process that I don't know that I have a rhyme or reason for. I was just going for it. Doing the same thing on the other side, but again, you don't want them to be perfectly matching to each other. You want them to just be asymmetrical. You could have cut these arches on the laser, but honestly, I didn't really even think about it. And I didn't mind sitting there and cutting up the pieces so I could visually see the idea in my head come to life versus on the computer. Sometimes I'm like a tactile learner and I need to feel it and see it to understand what I'm doing. And if you're wondering why my lips are moving, I was having a Taylor Swift jam session this day. I was jamming out to all of my favorite songs, dancing and being silly, but due to copyright reasons, I had to blur that out. So I wonder if you can catch which songs I'm singing at different times. While I have a moment, please like and subscribe so I can continue making these videos for me. I absolutely love doing them. Just a tip here, when you're gluing, E6000 doesn't set rather quickly, so you want to give it some time to adhere so that way your moss isn't moving all around and your base station stays exactly the way that you intended it to. That's what the hot glue kind of helps with. You could also use super glue to do this as well, but just give it a second to make sure everything is stuck in place before you move on to the next one. Next up is the moss itself. The first one that I got is this flat moss off of Amazon. I think it's from the brand Super Moss. I wasn't very happy with this at first, but I do have a fix for it later on that you'll see. This just looks like dead grass to me, but like I said, I will fix it later on in the video. The flat moss is going to go in the larger portions of the backer that are not where the arches are. I'm adhering it with hot glue only, and this is going to help it stick rather easily. I will warn you, I went through so much hot glue on this sign. I did not realize how much it was going to take to adhere this moss. I ended up buying a bigger hot glue gun because I started out with a small craft one and had to go get the massive ones because it was taking so long. My fingers were cramping by the end of it. So if you're going to attempt it, go ahead and get the industrial size hot glue gun from the beginning. I went ahead and pulled out the bigger pieces first and kind of layered them together and found some of the smaller pieces to go and fill in some of the holes. But you just start laying this out and you'll figure out where you need to add more, maybe take some away. It's really just, you start it kind of like maybe paper mache or something, and you'll see where you need to add more as you start making the sign. I definitely wanted to add some smaller pieces around the frame because I didn't want there to be any sort of gapping, and I was able to really shove those in and cover those pieces over by the frame. You're just going to have to trust the process with this dead grass. I promise you I will fix it. It was a really awesome fix that I was so proud of, but it took me forever even in my own mind. I'm like, this looks like poo-poo, caca, literally, but I promise I will fix it. I continued with the same process on all of the flat areas, and you don't even have to be perfect going up into the arches for this one because you are going to come in with different types of moss on the arch. And I noticed that my arch grew in some areas, and I just kind of played with the scales and things as I went along. But go ahead and get the flat pieces set up the way that you want them to, and we can go in and tweak it later after we start the other part. Make sure as you go you're checking any pieces that may have areas that aren't fully stuck down, and go ahead and pop some hot glue in there. I did have quite a few, especially in those larger pieces. I didn't get full adhesion on them, so I had to go back and reattach. Some of the edges didn't want to lay completely down, and I had to go in there and fix those as well. This moss made a mess. Not only did it shed everywhere, so I had to vacuum everything up, but it is dyed with a dye, obviously, and it will get all over your hands. So if you do not want green alphabet hands, then you need to wear gloves while you're doing this. Next, the balls. These cracked me up. They reminded me of little balls that you would find in like a gnome land or something. I don't know. And I don't remember the like actual names of these. I'll go ahead and put them in text because they do have an official name, like reindeer moss or something. I don't know. But I'll type it out so you can figure it out. And I'll also link all the moss. I ended up getting it all on Amazon, which was super easy. When I ended up needing more, I don't know if I put that in this video, but I do end up needing more mid-process. So having it on Amazon was really helpful. They came in different shapes and sizes, which was great to help the whole asymmetrical, not perfect look as well. And I'm adhering them with hot glue. I do everything. All of the moss is done in the same hot glue. Remember my finger that was dying and took forever? Yes, all in hot glue. I wanted these a little more concentrated towards the center. I did it on both sides and just willy-nilly threw them up there, honestly. I did have a picture of kind of what I was trying to emulate, but mainly in my head, I just knew kind of what I wanted, and I was like, let's just figure it out as we go, you know? This smaller moss is what I'm going to use to blend everything out and really finish off the piece. I got it in two different colors. This one is highly concentrated with that pigment that I was telling you about. You will have to put gloves on if you don't want your fingers green. This is the one that really got everywhere. I also took a couple of days to finish off this process. I ended up doing it the first time and it was too skinny. I just really didn't like it, so I had to step back and look at it a few days later, and I was able to expand it out, and I really got it where it curved along the edge of the border. But I think I worked on it like 6 or 7 hours the first day, and my brain just could not see it anymore. I got so frustrated, so I did have to come back the next day and helped it. And like I said, I did work on it even for a few days after that till I really got it exactly the way that I wanted to. So don't get frustrated with yourself. The pattern is sometimes, you may just see it initially, I'm not sure, but especially since I was working on something so large, it was really hard for me to blend it out the way that I wanted to. So be patient with yourself. But this small moss is what's going to help do that, and you can get that design really fine-tuned with this stuff. Aha, and this is the part that I told you that I was going to fix it. So this was supposed to be more like moss, and it came out more like dead grass. So I got this green grass spray, and watch. It's like a paint. It says it's non-toxic, but honestly, I would wear a mask. It kind of stinks. And then I use my little gator wipe to wipe all that excess off. Let it dry. I think it says on the bottle, read the bottle, but I'm pretty sure it says 24 hours because, again, this will transfer as well. But it worked absolutely beautifully to turn that dead grass into bright green moss that I had originally envisioned in my head. I already screwed in the standoffs, which I didn't get a video of. I'm sorry, but I did do that about mid-sign. That way I could kind of cover them up and hide them inside of the moss, and I already knew where they were going to be, so I wasn't having to try to drill in and figure all that out after the moss sign was already fully created. No one can beat that feeling either. Freaking do it. Back inside, I removed the masking on the back side of the acrylic. People ask often what my letters, the material my letters are made out of, and this time it's just a crisp white logo, so it's made out of MDF. I cut that on my laser, primed it, painted it. I do have videos on that. I also have videos on how I glue it up with a cardboard template. You're welcome to go check those out as well. The standoffs is what's going to hold the acrylic up over the moss. Now, I actually wanted the acrylic to kind of nestle into the moss just a little bit, not too much pressure on it where it was like looking super squished, but I didn't want it super raised up above it. I almost wanted it to just be brushed right on top of the moss. It looked like it was nestled into it. And just like that, that's my first moss sign. I absolutely love the way that it came out. I love the way that the light refracts off of the acrylic, and it just makes that green pop in the back. I cannot wait to do more of these. Now to package it up and ship it out to my customers. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.